So we're going to go through the AES performance for today, which is Friday, March 5th. It was an interesting day. We'll get into that a little bit more when we move on to recording the 8:45 to 4. But we've had some increased volatility that we've seen lately. Even if I just go back to how I normally view my chart, our price increments, our price scale, which Mark and I talk about quite frequently, is in 100-point increments. We've seen this in 10 and 5-point increments. So it kind of gives you an idea on how much we have been moving throughout the day today. So there's been some increased volatility. Let's take a look at the performance for today. So this is the individual tracking for anybody that wants to take a screenshot. So there's the morning. Starting around 7:25. Of course, we don't open our room till 8:45. And then we'll scroll down a little bit so we can get the remainder of the day. And then we will look at the summary here. So what we track on our personal trading plan, which helps us forecast out, helps us overcome any losing days that we might have just mentally, because we are looking strictly at our personal trading plan, not looking to adjust or change anything based on one specific day, especially when we have such a strong track record. We've been tracking this for now 181 days. So 181 days, we did have a positive day yesterday. Today in the 9:30 to noon, we gave back, and we'll plug that into our personal trading plan. This is all signals, no fractals included. The 7 to 4 trend bias and continuation trades. Yesterday we gave back a little bit. Today we are down about 25 points, still averaging almost 22 points a day. And then the third category that we track is the 8:45 to 4, all signals and fractals. This is what we call out in the room every single day. We had a nice 10-point win yesterday and 5 points today. This was hard fought for. We're not going to sugarcoat that to get to this 5 points, but there was a very nice recovery in this category, the 8:45 to 4. We talked about earlier in the day when we were down that there may be a good stopping point. We've talked about that quite frequently, using your personal trading plan to evaluate what a good stopping point is. And the majority of the room stopped when we were down about 60 points, which was, I believe that was 8 trades into the day. And so you could have continued to trade, taking about 5 times as many trades, a little bit less. So going to let's call it 4 times as many trades here, somewhere between 4 to 5, and continue to trade and end up positive. We'll see that this ends up being a net negative when we plug it into our personal trading plan. But we were personally done when we hit that negative 60 points, the majority of the room and me personally. And that was around, I'm pretty sure that was around that 10:30. Let me go to, we can look at it exactly. Whoop, that's too far. So we stopped when we were down about 60 points. So that was right here, that last trade at 9:40. So it was early in the day. Yes, it's not fun to have a losing day, but it was, in my opinion, for me personally, easier to stomach than to continue to trade throughout the day, hoping but not knowing that something positive would be your outcome. Keep in mind that if you did continue to trade, we actually went down to 100 points of loss before we came back to this 5 points of profit. So me personally, I'm completely fine with stopping where I am, even though it ended up coming back being profitable for the day. There had been some research that I had been doing actually yesterday, so it ended up having convenient timing about, as we talked about a 20-point profit goal, as we have been talking about a 20-point profit goal. If you didn't watch the AES performance review on Wednesday, I did that one as well and talked about that 20-point performance showed the personal trading plan. So I went through and evaluated, well, what's a good stopping point for the day too when you're down X amount? And I compared no stopping point compared to a 40 point or 50 point, 60 or 70 point stopping point. And while the 40 point definitely cut your 12-month forecast in half, the profits, instead of having about 240,000, you were at 106,000. However, if 40 points is something that is more manageable for you, this is still taking a $5,000 account, only trading up to 3 contracts and getting it to 106,000. So there's still a huge return on that investment, even when using that 40-point stop. Is it as good as no stopping point? And when I mean 40-point stop, I mean 40 points for the day, losing 40 points. So I'm not talking about on an individual trade. So is it as good as a no stopping point where if you don't make it to 20 points, you just continue to trade throughout the market day? No, it's not as good as that. But will you end your trading days earlier and not have to withstand that back and forth, that give and take that the day may bring to you? Yes. And is $100,000 on starting with a $5,000 account an amazing return? Absolutely. So it's something that you have to decide on your own what makes the most sense for your stopping point. For me, for my personal account, I was comfortable with a 60-point stopping point, and that's what we ended up hitting today. It's still fairly close to the no stopping point. It's at about 200,000 instead of 237,000. And to stop trading at one point instead of continuing throughout the day, then in my opinion, that's a better mental hurdle instead of being exhausted, continuing to trade, hoping that you get to that 20 points. So this is either so what I personally am looking at with that 60 points, which has $200,000 as a 12-month forecast, is either whatever happens first, you get to 20 points and you stop, or you have 60 points of loss and you stop, or neither of those happen and you do end up trading all day. But obviously you can call it quits at any point in between. But that's essentially what it's doing. A lot of traders struggle with when to stop, and that's what we're trying to, or what I'm trying to narrow down here, is we have a winning target, but I don't want to call a target, but also a losing safeguard as well, of when you're just going to say enough is enough and I'm done trading for the day. So I just wanted to add that in there a little bit. So now let's go and update our personal trading plan. So the first category that we'll update is our live trading room, the 9:30 to noon, all AES signals, no fractals. As I mentioned, today was a losing day in that category, down 65 points. Each point is worth $20, and we have currently scaled up to 3 contracts. So we ended up giving back 3,900 today. In that time frame, there were 11 trades. And then again, we're trading 3 contracts. So there are 33 total round trip trades. You can see that it's going to affect our run rate slightly. We will adjust that based on the new numbers, so 21.21, and then our negative days, 44.06. But there is still, and our current account balance right now is at about 77,000, starting with $5,000, not trading more than 3 contracts at a time, and never trading more than 10% of the account balance, forecasted out to about 119,000 in a 12-month forecast. Again, very limited trading in here, just 9:30 to noon. And then we have our trend bias and continuation category. This one's longer time frame, 7 to 4, but less trades because we're only taking trend bias or continuation. So today we ended up down 25 points. Again, Each point is worth $20, and we've currently scaled up to 3 contracts. So we ended up giving back $1,500 today. That was across 15 trades, so 45 trades total. And again, we'll update our forecast. It hasn't adjusted too much here. 28.39 as the profit days and negative 40.43 as the losing days. This is to help us. It's not a straight average, so it's a weighted average. It's to help forecast out based on our default of 1 losing day a week. We've had more than 1 losing day a week, not quite 2, but somewhere in between that. And so then this helps with that run rate to project it forward. So still looking for a 12-month forecast of about almost $220,000. Same story starting with $5,000. Never risking more than 10% of your account, and never trading more than 3 contracts. And then this category doesn't go back as far as the other 2. We started this in January of this year, starting with maybe traders that are new to Adaptive Entry System, new to the live trading room. So this is the 8:45 to 4, all AES signals and fractals. So all Adaptive Entry System signals and fractals, everything that we call out in the live trading room and trade in the live trading room every single day. So today, it ended up recovering. Again, it was down at one point, 100 points, and most of the room stopped at 5, but we're tracking not based on a stopping point. I have a separate trading plan for that. This is based on the no stopping point, which we discussed as well. So this is will be 5 points of profit. Again, each point is worth $100, and we've scaled up to 3 contracts. So we ended up with $300 of gross profit. Now it's going to end up being a negative day because there were 36 trades and 3 contracts. So that's 108 total trades, and you can see it ended up being a net negative day because of that. So when we look at overall performance, we gave back a little bit today because even though we recovered, commissions and fees set us back a little bit. So we'll go through and update the forecast. So 40.25, and then 44 and 13. The other part with this personal trading plan is that there's no profit target. So that's something else that's different. You can see the 12-month forecast on this one is 341,000 because we're not limiting the profit. That's why it's different by 100,000 or so from the other personal trading plan I was talking about, which limits it on the upside to 20 points. This one, you can end up with 104 points. You can end up with 50 points. There is no upside. This is just trading all day, all signals from 8:45 to 4. Again, everything that we call out in the live trading room all day long. And you can see that 12-month forecast with our current run rate is projected to be 340,000. This is starting the first trading day of the year so far. We've already scaled our contracts up to 3, and we've already scaled our balance up to a little over $39,000. Again, just starting with $5,000. So the personal trading plan, that's what I used for my research. I went through, I also had the data of our individual trades, but that's also something that you can do when you are starting out trading. When you are sim trading, if you want to have a hard stop, if you've lost a certain amount, plug it into your personal trading plan, make copies of your personal trading plan, evaluate them side by side. What happens if I don't have a hard stop on the day? What happens if I do? Is it really that much of a difference in the 12-month forecast where I want to decide to keep trading versus having a cutoff period? And that's exactly what I did using the personal trading plan, my copy of the personal trading plan, which looks just like the one available to all of you. Is I went through and evaluated, okay, what happens if we stop if the day gets to 60 points? What happens if it gets to 70 points? And to me, there wasn't enough of a difference between the no stopping point and the 60 point to, in my opinion, warrant the need to continue to trade all day long, even if that meant that maybe, like today, I'd miss out on a recovery. You have to sit though and continue to trade through all the ups and downs, including the additional down, because we went down additional 40 points down to a 100-point loss. That is, in what I'm going to assume, very close to a lot of traders' max risk for the day. That's a significant amount. So you save yourself from that. You obviously don't want to ever hit your max risk. You want to be able to be the one to decide, this is where I'm stopping for the day because I have set this as my stopping point. In the amount of time that I evaluated, there were 134 trading days. And with the 60-point stop, only 12 of them were losing days, net losing days. And only 6 of them were, so half of the net losing days, 6 of them were because it hit that 20-point stop. So in my opinion, that's an amazing, even though you're setting yourself at a stopping point, that's still an amazing amount of winning days. So it's less of that mental hurdle that you have to overcome and less amount of days that you need to continue to trade throughout the day when maybe just the market isn't reacting the way that you want it to. Now, if you started this afternoon, you had a way different type of market or performance because we ended up positive 5 points. Well, we were down 100 points at one point. So if you ended up, just looking here, if let's say you didn't start trading till noon, you had something going on all morning and you started trading at 12 o'clock, your performance is going to look much different today. So you're up 105 points. So there are different time frames that you can trade. You need to pick which time frames, first of all, works best for you as with your availability, and also with what maybe your profit target is. This time frame, 12 to 4, averages about 23, almost 24 points a day, and it was a much different day for somebody that started in the afternoon. We had a couple of people that started later in the day and had quite a few runs in the row and was able to hit their personal profit target and stop for the day. So it's all dependent on what you want to trade, and the best way to understand what is best for you in terms of a profit target or a stopping point for the day is this personal trading plan. It's very customizable. You can project out days. You can fill in your sim trading of what you did and how many contracts you traded to give you an idea of what your actual run rate is. You can use what your DOMA is saying, so it gives you that net amount. So maybe there's a day, almost every trade, you've had favorable slippage, but then the next day you just couldn't get filled at the open of the bar and you had some negative slippage. This will help even all of that out, help you project forward. And I would, before you even fill anything in, have an idea of what you're looking for your account balance in 12 months. Because sometimes it can get hard if you start to see a specific number, but then you make adjustments and that number goes lower. But if you had never known that it was a 340,000 number, maybe you would have been okay with 200 or 100,000 to start with. So have that idea in your head first, that number in your head first, what you want to take 5,000 or whatever your account balance is to in a year. And have that in your head first before you then plug in the numbers. And then that way you have a very strong way to evaluate, is the 12-month forecast that I have working with the 12-month forecast I had in mind as well. Because keep in mind, if you never want to scale more than 3 contracts, then let's say you get to let's say your goal is the first year is just to accumulate a strong account. And maybe at the end of the first year, you take out money and the next year you continue to trade three contracts, but every other week or every month you decide to take money out as a form of payroll for yourself. This personal trading plan helps you forecast for that as well. So that's it for today. We've updated the AES performance on our personal trading plan. We will be back on Monday, Michael and I, in the live trading room, calling out the signals, the 8:45 to 4, tracking all those signals as well, and we'll see what performance is like on Monday.